want to turn to a common confusion about truth. I'm going to say, and morality. It comes up when we talk about morality, especially, or when we make moral judgments or talk about the truth of moral judgments. And I think people mistakenly argue in the following way. They say, well, look at the statement. There's a desk in the room. That's, we could tell that's subjective. It's something about the world. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think. That is, certain people's thinking that there's a desk in the room doesn't make it true, and certain people's thinking that there's no desk in the room doesn't make it false, but rather that's something that's objective. Now they ask you, well, think about, by contrast, a moral judgment. Here's an example of a moral judgment. Female genital mutilation is wrong. I mean, is more morally wrong. Okay. Now, when we consider those two statements, people argue, give the following kind of argument to try to show that, well, the first one statement is true, but the second statement is not is not objectively true. And here's the way they start to argue about this. They say, look, if there's a lot of disagreement about the truth of a certain kind of statement or a particular statement, then these kinds of statements, are not true or false. They're not subjected to being true or false. Well, then the second premise is, well, there's a lot of disagreement about whether moral statements, for example, B above, are true or false. And the conclusion that obviously follows is moral statements are not true or false. Now, there are a lot of people who think this is really a good argument. That is, if we're talking about desks being a room, there's no disagreement. That's why these things are true or false. But female genital mutilation is wrong, morally wrong. That's a different kind of things. It varies. Sometimes they say, no, that's neither true nor false. It's true, meaning some people believe it's true. It's false. Other people believe it's not true. If you live in one place, if you're brought up in one society, and they try to account for differences, for that the fact is that there are differences in people's belief about these moral judgments, and they conclude from that, well, that's why there really is no truth. There's nothing about reality that is any, quote, truth, which we're not. It's just it's an opinion. Different groups of people, different people have different opinions, and they conclude from these facts, using this kind of argument, that moral statements are not true or false.